Hello and welcome to another episode of the We Have a Meeting podcast. So I hope you are sitting down for today's episode because you are about to be taken away to a beautiful land, the land of storytelling. In today's episode, we're joined by an entrepreneur who has used the art of storytelling to generate over 1.25 million in revenue for their clients. They've got a way with words and they are a passionate businessman. Today's guest is Niall Ratcliffe. Niall, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this. So yeah, looking forward to it.
You're like you walk into the room and you've got that energy, that honey I'm home energy. You bring it straight away.
That's the first time I've ever heard that saying in my life. Can you expand on what honey I'm home energy is?
You know, like when you get home from work and you're knackered and it's been a long day, you've had clients chewing your ear off and all that. But when you open that door and you see the love of your life, you walk in and you go, honey, I'm home. And you've got that energy and it's like, bang, you switch it on. You've got that now. You've got that honey, I'm straight in the room. It's like, you're like, hold on, wait, I'm here. You've got that honey, I'm home energy.
Well, I think that's a compliment. I think I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's being northern in general. I attribute most of my personality to growing up in the north of England. I feel like we're quite personable, aren't we? Although a lot of people call us. So, yeah, can thank my mum and dad for that one.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Ratcliffe. So we don't actually know each other, but we have, like most people, they feel like they know each other through the world of LinkedIn. And I think one of the big things is you're great at selling yourself and your story, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But I guess the way that we start all of our podcasts, who are you and what problem do you solve?
It's a great question. So obviously I'm Niall Ratcliffe. I'm the founder and CEO of Ratcliffe Brothers, an agency that I started with my brother a few years back now. The problem I solve is helping businesses stand out, particularly B2B service providers. If you look nowadays in especially certain industries, it's so overcrowded, everyone doing the same thing, like a PPC agency, there's probably 1,000 in the UK. And my argument is that you don't have to be the best PPC agency to have a really successful PPC agency. All you have to do is stand out amongst the crowd of the others. And that's what we help people do through the power of story and story-driven marketing.
And I believe from what I kind of know about you is you don't have 10 years of experience doing this. Like a couple of years ago, you got to a point where you're like, you know what, balls to the wall, I'm going to go out, I'm going to set my own business up. Talk me through how you got to that point and why you wanted to start the business.
Yeah, so essentially, my brother has a background in finance. So he has like finance degree, finance masters, works at a few banks, and he was like pure, numbers and spreadsheets guy. Boring. Can I swear on this? Boring as fuck industry. Apologies to anyone in finance. Like it's not something that you want to do for the rest of your life. And he was there, and I had just started in the world of personal branding. And I'd done about a year and I was getting a hang for it and I'd had some reasonable success on my own, building my own personal brand. But at the time, Morgan and I both had newsletters. He had one called Insider Trading. I had Going Viral, which I still run. And we're having quite some success with it, with both of them individually. And we've been getting noticed by a few people. Morgan had actually been sponsored by Morning Brew at the time. And we were like, oh, well, we can probably do this newsletter thing for other people. And we started talking about it a little bit. Long story short, someone got in contact and they actually offered us, or me, my full-time wage, essentially just to run them as a client. So I was like, well, I'll set this off and I can go ahead with this. And I gave Morgan a call and he was like, yeah, let's do it as an agency. And we were a very glorified agency at the beginning, just the two of us. And we thought we'd give it a go. And ironically, in doing that, so we're doing a little bit of newsletters, a little bit of LinkedIn. And we were like, well, we've got no experience really in marketing. No one sees us as credible. No one really wants to work with us other than a couple of people who have been following us on LinkedIn. It's like, what we're going to do. So we just started talking about ourselves, our story. We didn't have the great upbringing. Sorry, mum and dad. Like amazing upbringing, but we weren't known, like Rothschilds. Do you know what I mean? Very humble upbringings. So we just started talking about kind of the journey we've been on. And we started just getting clients in thick and fast. I think we had something like 15 clients in the first 2 weeks of officially launching. So we launched originally as freelancers, and then we officially launched and we signed a bunch of clients. And we were like, well, let's work backwards from this. Like, how did we sign these people? And it was like, well, all we did was just talk about ourselves, our story, and kind of people got to understand who we were and just trusted us to deliver on what we were saying we could deliver on. So although we still deliver on newsletters and actually a huge part of that service, we realized that our actual advantage here was that we could tell stories really well, and we were doing it for ourselves. So we made the pivot to storytelling a while back. And ever since, we've just been flying, being able to work with much bigger brands. And as we continue to tell our story online, as we grow and told our story, it's just been really beneficial for us in terms of marketing ourselves and our clients as well. And ironically, if you see anything that we do online, it's exactly what we do for our clients. Like how we market ourselves, just like a plug and play for every single client, just with their stories and business and services.
Nice, I like that. So one thing that I've realised now since being in this business, I thought it'd be full of very interesting people, right? I thought I'd meet really interesting people. Actually, I can't believe how many boring people I meet. If I went to an exhibition or an event and there's a networking component, you're going to be in a room full of very, very boring people. That's a real reality, right? So if I'm using storytelling as a business strategy, do I get more boring if I'm already boring?
No, I think that, you know, the funny thing is that most people are boring because they don't understand how interesting their stories are. Like, if you look at Harry Potter, let's say, it's a bunch of three friends. Ron loves Hermione, but he's too mean, he's ginger. Like, Hermione doesn't want to date him. They've got about 12 years. He finally pulls her in the last film, and they have three kids, live happily ever after. Like, it's not that great, you know. We've all got an ugly ginger friend, mine's my brother, and, you know what I mean? It take a while to nail someone down. But the truth is, when you spring in, you know, there's a few magic spells going on, they take a train, a flying car, like, it suddenly becomes this interesting, you know, billion-dollar phenomena. And it's a lot of times we come with clients. Like, if you look at our roster, probably the average age is, clients, average age, probably 55, 60, the people we're actually working with on a day-to-day basis, and maybe a bit lower, maybe like 50 to 55. And when they come to us, a lot of them are like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about, like, I'm going to talk about the business. And when you actually break it down, they actually have this super interesting life story of like how they've come from here to starting a business. And even, you know, we have some clients who came from rich backgrounds, poor backgrounds, and they just don't realize how interesting it is to other people. So something that we help people do is just understanding what pinpoints things to talk about. Like, it's not interesting for me to tell you about, oh yeah, I grew up, you know, just outside Colne. Mum's gonna kill me. She tells me to live in Skipton. So I grew up just outside Colne, and, you know, we didn't have all that much at the beginning and this and that. Like, no one gives a fuck about how I was at fucking 10 years old. But if I start saying, actually, you know, I actually grew up in quite a poor neighborhood, and then, you know, at 21, I started this business, and actually now we've done 1.25 million. Like, you suddenly start to get more interesting when you start to contrast. And that's like a transformation story. And just like little things like that can take someone who's really boring and quickly make them interesting just from knowing what to talk about. I can't answer your question, Zach. I can't remember what the original question was. I don't even think it was a question.
No, it was. You've answered it. So I suppose based on that and what you've said, so you've maybe helped someone realise actually my story's got a bit more meat on the bone here than I thought.
Yeah.
Why does then that translate into a good B2B strategy to be employing? What's the why would I do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as like people see me on LinkedIn and they just trust me. And that's the truth of it, and thankfully they do. But the reason you guys are happy to jump on the pod, feel pretty comfortable when I first jump on the call, is because you reasonably know who I am. You know ish what I've grown up like. You can feel my tone of voice, kind of who I am. And generally speaking, you feel like you already know me. I think that's what you said at the start, like, oh, we feel like we already know each other. And it's the same thing, and that's 99% of business. Like, you guys do it on the phone. I do it, you know, over writing, essentially. But it's just like, the second someone's, let's say someone's struggling to stand out, and they're like, oh, well, Niall does it. I'm happy to jump on a call with him. They don't know if I can actually solve their problem yet. They're not even sure if I'm credible enough, maybe, but they trust me, and that's 99% of the game. Once I get them on the call, then I can be like, here's what we do, here's how we can solve your problem, and be a little bit more professional. And they're like, okay. Then they tick that first box. But essentially, if I wouldn't have told any of those stories, who would work with me? I'm a 22-year-old with an old accent. I've got nothing going for me. At all. And, you know, we have, you know, Forbes 30 under 30s, 8-9-figure brands, people who wouldn't even consider to work with a 22-year-old northern lad if they wouldn't have heard my story and just been like, do you know what, I trust this guy enough to jump on a call, or to shove the head of marketing on a call with him and just get a feel for who he is and what he maybe has to offer. And that's the easiest reason, just to trust people.
Interesting. Okay, so for the people listening to this that can't afford you because you're very good at what you do, so you obviously charge a lot. And they're thinking, I want to get into this storytelling. I want to kind of extract the story from within. What are the questions that they should be asking themselves? Like if I'm sat here thinking I'm really boring, but I've got to find a story deep down. What questions should they be asking themselves to find those stories?
Well, I'll take the layup there as well, Jack, and I'll say that if you go to my LinkedIn profile, we do have a £1 toolkit. £1 is nothing, it's like going a sweet from the shop. If you go on there, I think we have 20 plus story ideas, 20 plus story hook templates, masterclass videos, everything else got on there. It's £1, it's a giveaway. So if you do actually play a story and you can't afford it, jump on that, and virtually everything we use for our clients is in there. But back to the original question now, I've done a little sales pitch mid-podcast. What should they ask themselves to find the stories? I think the easiest thing to start with when you're doing a story is mini transformation stories. And that's kind of how I started. And there's two simple ways that I do this. I'd pick 2 photos, like scroll through your camera roll, go back 2 years, find a photo of you, and just explain that. So we always said to use a signpost, so like in 2017 or 4 years ago, and just explain where you were. So for me, I might scroll back, I might see myself kicking a football on for Stockport County, where I used to play. I quickly explained at 17, I wanted to be a footballer, play for Stockport. All I did every day was train. I didn't think education was much of a thing. Now I can use another signpost to say 3 years later, here I am running a business, blah, 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 blah. And that's such a simple story just from scrolling through my camera roll. And that's the easiest thing. But if you don't have photos, just think of a moment in your life, like just roll the dice, go back to a year, 2016, explain where you were in 2016, explain where you are now. And that's like the simplest way to write an engaging story. I mentioned the word signpost there. I want to clarify what that is. Essentially, a signpost is just telling people where you are on the timeline. So if you're in 2016, you say in 2016, and instantly people know when you're talking about. And just having 2 of those signposts, like super simple, and you can go through 100 million stories in your life instantly with that framework, and they'll all be pretty engaging.
Is there a concern then? So, like I saw when you launched your £1 product, like it smashed it. I think you sold hundreds and hundreds, and you were like, it's not about. I thought the marketing was brilliant, but it's not about the money that you're getting there. I assume there's some big mastermind idea behind it. Is there now a fear?
I think we made a loss. Sorry, by the way. We got the accountant message the other day. I mean, we didn't realise we had to like VAT on it as well, even £1 toolkit. And she was like, "Yeah, boys, I think like we sold 900 and something." And overall, I think we made a loss. Sorry, though. Carry on.
Well, no, but I'm sure it's part of the bigger picture in terms of lead gen and
yeah.
There's other things that you'll gain from that. Is there not a concern now that there's 900 people out there on LinkedIn that have the do-it-yourself framework when it comes to storytelling, that eventually everyone's going to look like a cardboard cutout of Niall, and then that loses authenticity in its own right there?
It's a great question, and no, I'm not worried about that at all. I mean, it's like YouTubers, right? Like vlogging was huge on YouTube maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but like, yeah, some of the vlogs are the same. People pulled like some of the same pranks, but generally speaking, the name some vloggers. Like back in the day, like KSI was doing like FIFA videos and videos with his brother, and then like on the other side of the world, there was like Logan and Jake Paul, and they were doing completely different stuff, and they were doing the same kind of videos, and another 100,000 other people were doing it on YouTube, but they were never the same because they're just different people, different personalities, different stories. And me and you could tell a story a day on LinkedIn for the next 5 years, and not once would you be able to draw a similarity to it. It's just a completely different life. And there's this huge thing people talk about is like hook frameworks. And a lot of the hook like templates we have in the toolkit, we tried to make them almost generic in terms of we say like in year, this happened, and then so that kind of like plug in your own story. But like, there's this huge thing that people are talking about, it's like, oh, it's actually inauthentic to use these. And it's like, Zach might have the most amazing story possible, but if he can't write a good hook, no one's reading it. So like, it's sometimes you have to trick people into being educated, and sometimes you have to trick people into reading the story, and that's how I see it. If I cured cancer in my apartment here. No one's going to listen to me if I cured cancer. If I didn't put people in with it, I could say, like, this is all you need to do to cure cancer. And no one would listen if I said, hi guys, I've just developed the B7 serum that's going to cure cancer. No one's listening. I've got the cure for cancer. But you have to say to people, guys, I've just cured cancer in 3 minutes. Here it is. Everyone would listen. And sometimes you have to use what works to get super valuable stuff out there. And as long as it's your story, I don't see any problem with it at all.
I think my wife uses the B7 serum for her hair. Not get mixed up there.
I wouldn't recommend it, not financial advice, to use the B7 serum.
And it cures cancer. Bloody hell. So
advice.
I want you to do a bit of couples therapy with me and Jack on something that you're an expert on, right? So I know you're a big newsletter guy, and Jack's always wanted to do one. I just say, no, we're not doing one this year. And he's like, but it's my birthday. No, waits till Christmas. And he asked me again, can we do a newsletter? No, Father Christmas isn't coming with a newsletter this year. I don't want to do one. Why am I wrong?
Yeah, that was a really well posed question. Truthfully, newsletters aren't for everyone, and I'd have to see what you guys are doing. But if a lot of people come to us and say, oh, we want a newsletter, and if you don't have 1,500 emails minimum and an actual idea of what you want to do with it, then I'm with Zach in terms of not everyone needs a newsletter, but for companies that have especially long sales cycles, it's priceless. We have people who on our roster who are 2-year sales cycles. If they don't have a newsletter, then what are they even in business for? Because no matter how good your lead gen is, your PPC, whatever shite else you're running, it doesn't matter when people see it. People need 6 months to make a decision. Let's say, you guys do sales. So I'm guessing, there's a bunch of companies with long sales contracts. So it's 12 months. They got these guys working with them, and someone comes across you guys saying, "Oh, that Jack's got 3 out of 10 banter on LinkedIn. I'll give him a follow," and they can't sign that contract yet. Do you know what I mean? So truthfully, now you're relying on Jack having another good post 12 months down the line when they do the contract. But the difference is, you've got them in a sorry, Jack. You've got them in a newsletter, and you're pinging them once a week, just keeping you top of mind. And when that 12 months comes around, you send them 2 emails that week. And the difference is, Jack's no longer sat there scratching his head trying to think of a post every month. Instead, it's just you're in their inbox, and straight away you're there. And like I said, for anyone who works, agency-wise, generally service providers, we come across clients sometimes oh yeah, we have 3 months before we can do anything with you, but we just wanted to chat. And it's no worries, jump in the newsletter. You'll actually have some invaluable priceless bit of info put in there on a weekly basis. And when you're ready, we'll be top of mind. And it just, not to mention, where do anyone we want to talk to, you guys and us, hang out? Come on, I hate LinkedIn. We all hate LinkedIn. None of us actually enjoy it. I spend 15 minutes on there nowadays. It's horrific. It's an absolute bomb site. But I check my emails every 15 minutes because clients will message me and other people will be in contact. And that's where you want to be. It's it's the exact place they're spending time, and that's the exact place that I want my message to be. So like I said, especially if you have a high ticket service or long sales cycles, or generally anything, please get in contact. No, but seriously, it's not for everyone, but for those that actually need it, I think it's priceless.
Have you got anything anecdotal around one of those where someone jumped into the newsletter first, warmed them up, and now they're a customer?
I mean, yeah, we've got a few case studies on the website. If you go to ratcliffebrothers.com/results.
Teasing us. He's teasing. What sort of stuff do you? So the way I've thought about, surely, I mean, we've never done it, but the way it surely works is here's not all the ingredients. So here's a bit of a problem that someone had. Here's maybe roughly how we solved it. But if you want to know really how I solved it, you've got to get in touch with me. Is it a bit like that?
Yeah, no, so essentially, a great example we did recently, it was one of our first clients, actually, so it's not recently at all, I'm lying to you. But they were raising money, and they were getting in a bunch of investors. And if you ever work with a company raising money, I don't know if you do that, but they just bring in everyone. Give me money, that's classic fundraising, and they're just scrambling for any money they can take. But the problem they were having was they're raising another round in 6 to 12 months, and they already knew that was coming. But they're pitching this investor, and 6 to 12 months down the line, he's just gone. He's not answering their phone calls anymore. They've already held him and asked for him 6 months ago. And one thing we did for them was super simple. It's like we just got them into a newsletter flow, and we did 2 things. One was they got like a flow from the founder, which was like explaining the company, the origin story, kind of building that trust. And the second one was like breaking down financials, reasons you'd want to invest. And then all we did was put out like investor updates on a monthly basis, progression within the company, showing expansion, so they're expanding their sales team abroad. Maybe we were like just showcasing that. And essentially when it came around to raise a round, I think it was an extra 350,000 they raised. But essentially when it came around to their next round, they had just a full list of investors being like, hi guys, we're raising now, get in touch here. And it was like bish bash bosh. They didn't have to do all the calling, they've done it once. And then anyone who's not there, obviously anyone who's like, fuck off, why are you calling me? They didn't go in the list. But anyone who was like semi-interested could go in the list and they could just straight away access it. And we also had another client we worked with recently who was more of a creator. And he had 150,000 followers, I think, when he got in touch with us on LinkedIn. And one thing he was doing was launching a course, an upcoming course. And the difference was he was collecting these emails. But like, same I said with you guys, like before he came to us, he was relying on a good post launch. And if it doesn't go well, you've completely flopped your course. And anyone knows who releases a course or any product, same with our £1 toolkit, like 95% of sales, downloads, whatever it is, come in the first 2 weeks. It's like, if he has just a bad run of posts, the LinkedIn algorithm get off, he posts and LinkedIn goes down an hour later. Like, he's just wasted thousands on this course that he's produced. Whereas with us, it's just like, the course is ready to come out, we sent an email out, bang, hundreds of downloads come in, and done and dusted. And obviously, if the post does well, which it did actually at the time, you can also get them as well. But like, it's just crazy to me that people often will build up to this launch. And we actually had a kind of a horror story of a client come in recently where they'd built up to a launch of like a physical send out product, and they posted it on their LinkedIn, and it flopped. This is before they worked with us, just to clarify, and it completely tanked. And they were like, "What is this now?" And they came to us and they were like, "Oh, we need to shuffle these boxes. Like, we need to get them out." I'm like, "You launched it 3 weeks ago. I can't read. I'm good, but I'm no Dumbledore. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you want me to do, because the truth is, you have that thunder, and the second you've lost it, there's nothing really you can do with it. That's done now. You're gonna have to do something else." And that was a nightmare they had, where like they posted it across their company socials, I think founder socials as well, and it just completely tanked. And it was like, oh well, that's kind of over now. They would have had the list, they would have had the newsletter, they would have had people actually engaged. We could have sent it 3 days before it was actually released, people who were the most engaged, and being like, oh, here's this, guys, any feedback? And a simple thing we did with our toolkit, sorry to go on a tangent, is we dropped it on LinkedIn, and as the comments were coming in for the toolkit, I was uploading the comments as testimonials for the website. Jasmine Alec has 100,000 followers. He said, best £1 I've ever spent. That was up in under 3 seconds on our website. So you had this cycle of like, as people were buying the toolkit, our list of testimonials was growing on the toolkit website. So more people were buying it, and the testimonials were growing. It was like a little feedback loop. But you can do that with the newsletter as well, because you can launch it 3 days early to a selection of people that you virtually know are going to buy. You can ask them for feedback personally, because you can only send it to 200-300, and you can upload that on the website. So when you actually launch it to LinkedIn, you hope for that viral post or a good post across socials. You've already got a website with 50 plus people have bought it, and here's what everyone's been saying so far, which you just can't do when you launch it. You can't do a pre-launch on social media 3 days before, but you can.
You're obviously an expert when it comes to these things, Noel, and that's why we wanted to get you on. Although I don't think you should ever go into couples therapy, because what you did is you sided with Zach straight away and slagged off the wife's banter, which is an awful therapeutic tactic. But hey, you work in marketing, so it's all right. Okay, so say, obviously you are an expert in this industry, right? So say I can convince Zach to give us all of our consulting budget for the year. I'm gonna pay you, Niall. We're talking hundreds of thousands. It's enough to retire in the sunset. We're gonna pay you thousands and thousands of pounds for a day's work. In exchange for that, I want the secrets. I want the top 5 storytelling secrets. What are they?
It's a great question. Top 5 storytelling secrets. I mean, look. The first thing is that there's so much more to what we do than just storytelling. And as much as I'd love to tell you that you can post a few stories on LinkedIn and be a millionaire, if I knew how to do that, we'd both be on a beach sipping pina coladas. The truth is, there's a system behind what we do as well, and stories are a huge part of it. But in terms of 5 tips, the first one I'd say is just understand simple marketing. And this is something that I think most people don't understand. And simple marketing is you have top of funnel, which for us are like viral stories or any stories that are going to get eyes on you. And you need that top of funnel. And then you have to have, a middle part and then the sales at the bottom. And the amount of people that I come to, like big businesses come to us, and I'm like, what's your marketing? They're like, yeah, we got Instagram, we got an intern on that. Like, I post the odd time on the LinkedIn and the company page, and it's complete dog shit. And I think, like, what even's going on here? And like, it's just so simple. Of like the toolkit, for example, big secret, it was a lead magnet for us, and we charged for it for a value perception, but we're not going to get into right now. But essentially, like, it's super simple. We got a bunch of eyes on us. We launched a £1 toolkit. People bought it. They put their emails in. We got people from calls straight to that, and then after it, they went on a sequence and then into our newsletter. Like, we've generated probably 20k monthly recurring revenue from that toolkit in the last few months, like, alone. And it was like basic internet marketing 101. You provide value online, you get eyes on you, trust and credibility. You provide something that's stupidly valuable. People give you their email and £1 in our case to access it. You get access. It's more valuable than they thought it were. They pay you for a high ticket service. And like, that is marketing 101. And it's so simple. I'm going to have to cut this after, no, I'm joking. But it's so simple. And, you'll see everyone, personal branding, do this, do that. Like, that's fucking great. But I've got rent to pay. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need business coming in the door, and I'm a huge, personal branding's great. I have a personal brand. Our business is built off it. But like, you have to have more. There's more to it. There's more to marketing than having a personal brand. There's more to marketing than jumping on a sales call. So if I gave you a mobile phone but with no list to call, you'd be a chocolate teapot. What are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? There's more to it. You have to have the lead gen and the sales. You have to have the numbers to call and the people to call them. So that's there's probably 3 in there. And that's the biggest thing. Like, understand what marketing is. And if you don't understand it, like, just study what great marketers have done you before. Like, what do people actually do? There's a reason Grant Cardone is worth, granted, not the greatest role model in the world, but there's a reason Grant Cardone is worth hundreds of millions. Do you know what he does? He puts out lead magnets that are valuable. You either pay him a quid, £900 off today, it's free, perfect. I'll look at that. You look at it, oh, that's valuable. Next minute you're on his £3,000 course. It works. And granted, there's less sleazy ways to do it than Grant Cardone does it, but that's the biggest thing. The second thing in terms of storytelling is just understand what gets attention, because that's the first thing you have to do. Like I said, you have to trick people into being educated. If teachers were good at TikTok, the world would be much cleverer. You always see these Chinese kids. God, let me word this correctly. You see the videos of TikToking. I told you I'm getting cancelled on this. The videos of TikToking in China, and it's just like people building stuff and engineering, and they're doing circuit boards. And if they did that in England, bloody hell, we'd be much cleverer. We're still herding sheep in the north. We don't know what college is. But if people just knew what to get attention, then it'd work much better for them. And truthfully, like, when you're posting online, that your first thing should be, will this get attention? And if it doesn't, then don't post it. And then the second thing is, like, okay, can I actually keep people engaged the whole time? And then the rest of it just like, actually, is this me? Is this, I can't say that word, that's one word I'm not going to say. Is this soft? Do you know what I mean? Is this soft to say? Do you know what I mean? Is this something my mate's going to bank me off for? If it's not and something I'm happy to post up, then put it out there. And that was completely
No, I think there was some really good stuff in there, and I think it's, you see personal branding all over LinkedIn, and there's definitely a different path where you're taking it. We do have unfortunately, Niall, we do have a magic word on this podcast, and if you say that word throughout the podcast, and we have to kick you out and end it there. That was Grant Cardone today, so you are unfortunately out. No, it's not off menu. No, you can stay. I remember you seeing a post from you. I can't remember, but I think it was basically something like when you first started, you thought like. I'm paraphrasing it, so you might say, actually, Jack, you're wrong. I've never said that, and you're a dick, and you banter shit. Let's see how you word it. But it was something to do, like, when you first started, it was like, you believed, like, selfies were the way to build a personal brand, and you did it. And then it was only through learning and trial and error that you learned more about storytelling and hooks. Like, what was the, if that is true, what was that defining moment where you thought, actually, all these personal branding gurus that are saying X, Y, and Z, they're actually wrong, and I'm going to go against them and do my own thing?
This is going to be an orthodox story. But so back in the day, I'm personal brand and I'm blowing up on LinkedIn. 300, 400, like it's a flop, 150 likes. It's a flop. And I'm like, if you scroll back, someone do this, please, and like screenshot and send it. If you scroll back through, you'll see like me cheesing every day. Like I might have even thrown up a peace sign on one of them. And it's like, hi guys, you should go on a walk. Like walks are good for your mental health. And that's like a crack, like 350 likes. Like I'm like balling 15,000 impressions. I'm thinking I'm the next Ty Lopez, Iman Gadzi. And that's what I was putting out. And I thought I was killing it. And I remember when I actually we did the launch week for the business, and I was putting like 400 or 500 likes, and it was like, for the first 10 days in business, like everyone says that you can't keep track of your health, and I've had 8 hours sleep for 6 days on the bounce. And then I went to a Halloween party. This is me, I'm thinking I'm killing on LinkedIn. I went to a Halloween party, and my partner's uncle came over. It was his party. And he comes over, and he shakes my hand. My girlfriend's American, so partner's American. So he's like a big American man, and he was like, "Hi, Niall, how's it going? I've seen you've been killing it on LinkedIn." And I was like, shit, he's seen my LinkedIn. And I remember this like dropping feeling in my stomach where I was like completely embarrassed, thinking, this man will never respect me for the rest of my life because he's seen my LinkedIn. And he actually straight away introduced me to another one of his friends, and he's actually the CEO of a reasonably sized company in America. And he introduced me to one of his friends. He's like, "Oh, this is the guy that does lead gen for us. Like, you guys should chat. You probably have something in common." And I walked up to this guy, and I'm a reasonably confident guy, and I was like a mouse. Like I was like, I can't believe this. These people have seen my LinkedIn. Like, oh my god, get me out of this party. I'm dressed up as Aladdin, by the way. It's a Halloween party. So I'm dressed as. And the reason, what's Princess something? So my missus
Jasmine.
wants Princess.
Yeah.
What Princess? I don't know what she's called. Aladdin, good looking. Princess Jasmine. She's Princess Jasmine. She's picked the costumes out. I'm Aladdin. Like I've got the little hat on, right? So I'm stood there. I'm going to send you a photo of it after. So I'm stood there in my Aladdin costume, and he just said he's seen my LinkedIn, and I've just never been so emasculated in my life. Where I could barely talk to this man about his company. I didn't want to talk about mine anymore. I'm thinking, oh my god, I don't want to be here. And I went home that night, and I was like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, why am I embarrassed of my marketing for my business? Like, it didn't even make sense to me. And I went home that night, and I don't think I've posted a selfie since, because I genuinely was just so embarrassed. And I was like, well, how can you ever get on a call with a client, and they think that what you think is good content is you telling people to go on a walk? And it was just like a huge realization for me. You always look back on yourself like 2 years ago and think, oh, hell, he was an idiot. And that was that moment, but it was just a day apart. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like I grew about 10 years in age. And that's when I really realized it. And from there, I started posting more like authority content and more stuff that I enjoyed. And it helps that obviously I run the business with my brother, and every day, like, we rinse each other's content. Like, it goes up and I'm going like, no way you posted that. And I think sometimes you need that balance out. Like, growing up in school, you can't, oh God, these words I'm trying to avoid here. You can't be wet, do you know what I mean? You can't be, like, especially in the north of England, like, you can't do stuff that's embarrassing. You'll get dug out for it. And I needed that, and I didn't get it because I was in America at the time, and like everyone's a bit nicey nice in America, do you know what I mean? There's no banter there. And like I said, I went to the Halloween party dressed as Aladdin, and that was the first realization, like, oh, I've been let off with one here. And ever since, business is on the up and up, and selfies have been on the down, so it's all been good. That's the story. I'm going to post that photo. Seriously, it's unbelievable. Let me see if I can.
Was it the selfies, or was it or was it what you were putting with the selfies? What was the bit that was like, oh, I can't do that
It
anymore?
it was both. Like, it was horrific content with me. Like, I'm not a smiley guy. Like, do you know, like, it's, do you know what I mean? You're asking, which way do I go in terms of relationships when I'm smiling? Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you say? How do you say that politically correct? Do you know, which side
You've
am I
said it
on?
now.
Yeah.
You've said it now,
Do you know,
don't worry.
which side am
Cancel him!
I on?
Cancel him!
He's been avoiding trying to say it the whole podcast, and he just said it. He's been
But that's
saying
the thing.
wet instead. He's been saying soft, and he just said, "Which way do I go?" He's done it. He's done it. He's finally. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? I put a timer on here. How long till he says it?
I've been avoiding it as well. I'm telling you, I'm going to put this Aladdin photo here. I know you can't pause in a podcast. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Because seriously,
Right.
you have to see it for the context.
This is the content people want to see.
Yeah, I might have
Scrolling
to,
with the CEO.
Oh, it was so
muted,
good.
Jack.
It was
Okay,
so
here we
good.
go.
But don't
Really
worry
good
about it
mate,
now.
but you are muted.
God, yeah. When we were, here we go.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna crop my. Oh, can I send in? I can't send in this.
Don't
Can I send in this
don't
chat?
think so.
Is that
You
allowed
can
to
send
send
it.
photos?
You can just put it. Hold it up to the screen and
Right,
send
I'm
it me
gonna-
after, and then we
Yeah,
can
just
share
put
it
it on
when
the
we share the
screen, mate.
podcast.
If someone's only listening to this as well, we can do something well funny with this.
Right, so this is me.
Oh no!
It's a laddie.
Oh my god, it's massive.
This.
I see what
was
you
the
mean
outfit.
about when you're smiling now, Niall.
Look at that hat.
Wow.
That's it might be culturally appropriate. Horrific.
No, it looks good.
It's really bad. It's really bad, and I'm telling you, I got absolute short straw with that end. But anyway, yeah, it was emasculated. I've never put a selfie since, and thank God for it.
You're like a Colgate advert. Hope you don't mind me saying that to your face.
You should. You should scroll back. You should scroll back to my LinkedIn, and every single one with my teeth out. And honestly, it was, never again. I just didn't understand it. I was just a kid. You know what I mean? I was just a kid. Poor sad.
Yeah, there's worse things to have out than your teeth, mate. Don't worry. So I think we've got one last question for you.
Go for it.
I've really enjoyed this. I think we could talk all day. I think we should become mates actually after this. I don't know about you, but
You're based in Manchester,
I am, but
aren't you?
obviously no. We've established that you don't want this one. So
based in Bournemouth.
sorry, mate.
3 out of 10 banter. 3 out of 10 banter. That's what you said. 3 out of 10. I'm gonna get that in writing.
That was
So I think
good
it's a
for
question
me.
that everyone. It's a question everyone's going to want to know, and I've been dying to ask it you as a storytelling expert. What's your favourite word?
My favourite word would be the one my mum wouldn't approve of me saying on this podcast.
Your mum's not a listener. Well, I'll tell her not to listen to this one.
Yeah, Pam, don't tune in for this one.
Text her after
this. Oh God, my favourite word definitely be a swear word, but I am not allowed to say
Which one?
on client calls. Probably. No, I'm not falling into that bit. My best word. Oh.
I'll ask you in a different way then. If you could say it now, what would it be?
No. It'd probably start with a C. Probably start with a C and end with an unt. That's what I'd go.
Right. I know you're listening
word.
at home. Put in the comments what you think the word is. There's a prize in that.
If you say it really you feel it. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, there's a southern way and there's a northern way. Northern way, term of endearment. Southern way, you're getting stabbed. So, Niall, if people have enjoyed this and they want to work with you or at least start that process, where's the best place for them to start?
Yeah, let me start by saying I do not represent the company in this podcast. This is purely entertainment value. I promise you we're actually good at what we do. But just also understand that I promise you, we're a professional organisation. But no, check me out on LinkedIn. It'd be linkedin.com/Niall-Ratcliffe or something like that. Just search Niall Ratcliffe. Website, ratcliffebrothers.com. Just go to ratcliffebrothers.com/results. You'll actually see that we can do what we say we're doing. And you can also follow Morgan Ratcliffe. He's the uglier brother. And that's about it. I do have a newsletter. If you see it and find it, do subscribe. I put a lot of time into it. But other than that,
Thank you so much,
it's been a
Niall.
pleasure, boys.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. Cheers, Niall.
Appreciate you guys.